I think what was interesting a few years ago, back when the pandemic was with us, was that if you were an office worker, all of a sudden you got all of these freedoms. You got to work from home, you got to do video calls, you got to spend more time with your family. But if you're on the tools on a construction site, you have got to go where the work is. And what was really interesting at the time is that SitePod came along and offered an element of luxury for site workers who had never been able to do simple things like wash their hands. They hadn't been able to do simple things like make a cup of tea. And you're on the 15th floor of a fit-out project in Manchester, in London, in Birmingham. All of a sudden now, you've got all these luxuries available to you that the SitePod range offer. If you're a local authority now, you don't have to deal with porta cabins, groundhog units on the street, because the pods keep the workforce at the job site. And if you've got a job that is lasting a year or 2 years, each day you gain efficiencies because your workers are not leaving the site to have their dinner, their lunch, and then return and have that downtime. Everybody's kept on the site. The job is more efficient. More profit is made at a time when margins are being squeezed. But ultimately, you are able to look after your workforce in a way that you have never been able to do before. And not just that, you are compliant with the HSE regulations. You are providing a safe environment. You are giving people everything they need to work well, under pressure, in tough environments. And ultimately what you are doing is, by having the pods, improving welfare and health and safety standards across one of the UK's biggest industries.
Running a construction site is tough. SitePod makes it easier. Your site entrance looking unsightly? Paperwork, PPE and safety equipment scattered somewhere? We've got a pod for that. Break room chaos, unhygienic environment, missing facilities, no drinking water. We've got a pod for that. Site sink looking more like a health hazard. We've got a pod for that. Fire safety equipment hard to locate, unreliable alarm system. You guessed it, we got a pod for that too. Transform your site with SitePod. It ticks all the boxes.
So essentially what happens in the UK is that the Health and Safety Executive, which are a self-funded authority, set the rules and the guidance for how construction workers and anybody who works in large-scale projects should be looked after whilst they are operating. So for example, they'll set a rule that states that you have to provide hand, arm up to the elbow and face washing facilities, but you've still got to do that if you're on the 15th floor in central London and you've just ripped out all the facilities. You still have to do that. Well, how are you supposed to do it? So we looked at a lot of the HSE guidance and we started to break it down into different product categories. So health and safety, that led to the health and safety pod. Everything you need to comply with health and safety regulations in terms of providing clear information for your workers, nearest hospital, fire safety procedure, a fire alarm that is wireless that we've designed, a fire extinguisher that work on all fire types, first aid kits, eye wash kits, everything you need on one product, there you go. So then it comes to welfare and you've got to provide drinking water, hot water, the ability to heat food. So we put all that into one product, sourced the third-party components and created a modular design that would use the same parts that we used on the health and safety pod. The wash pod brings together all the requirements to deliver the hand, arm up to the elbow and face washing facilities on a site. It's portable, it's self-contained. There is nothing like it out there. And the feedback that we've got from these products is absolutely mind-blowing. We've improved the physical and mental health of site workers because the site managers are investing in the site pods. Meals are being prepped the night before, they're brought in, they're put into the fridge. Cold water is being able to be drunk on some of the hottest days of the year. From a mental health point of view, given what I mentioned earlier about what happened during the pandemic, the site workers believe that they're being looked after properly and they're able to function and do their job in a much better way, far better than they've done it before.